has been the grab self-destruct.
Yeah, and not only that, but Skyfoxes are still running the core, right? I mean, Mac, Attitude, FaZe, Remix, they're running the 4 heroes that are the core of trying to win out those ground wars, those frontline battles. So you still have that as an extra layer on top of everything that you mentioned. I mean, there's so much value to running this composition if you can run it well. You obviously need the coordination, but Skyfoxes have that. So they're bringing it out here, trying to play the high ground if they have the opportunity. But playing close here, Skyfoxes, Lastro is definitely just trying to make sure that he gets as much visibility as possible towards his enemy, sees what they're running, and what they are running is, of course, just straight up goats trying to get in there, but wasting a little bit of time here trying to get set up initially.
Madman just wasn't ready. I wasn't warmed up. I had to put my armor on and get ready. So Triumph going towards our usual high ground. What's been interesting to me is Awkward on the Zenyatta again. You know, he tried the Ana against Lastro, and that did create some opportunities for Triumph, but maybe needing that transcendence and seeing if they can just avoid the anti-nade from Lastro to make it happen. They step onto the point. It's going to be Ryan versus Ryan. Mattman swings away, starts to pressure Remix. It actually separates him away from the rest of the team, but Mattman gets hit by an anti from Lastro, so has to take a step back.
Well, I mean, opportunities usually come from your Sombra, but Lastro can create some of his own, gets a sleep dart. Can he land another?
Maybe, when his cooldown is ready. But Triumph, they get 2 ticks on the board, they start the rally, and Remix is out. Skyfoxes were just losing too many supports, unable to keep their front line healed up, and that's quite a swift attack from Triumph, despite, you know, Mattman needing to get warmed up a bit at the beginning.
Yeah, you definitely have to get the advantage early on if you're running this Ana Sombra type composition. They didn't get it there, but have to slow down the pace of this attack quickly here. They're already on point, and Bud's no MP yet.
Damn, this is quite the aggression from Triumph, trying to answer back after the last one. What a shatter from Remix combined with the EMP, the nano used just for sheer overkill, sheer confidence from Skyfoxes, who deny the first tick from Triumph on point B.
Yeah, but this is an uh-oh moment here. Skyfoxes invested everything that they had into that fight. And eventually we'll see that rally armor tick off. It only lasts 30 seconds now in this current patch. And going forward, Triumph are going to have so much available to them. They'll have Grav self-destruct combo, nothing to answer it. So they can just drop everything on top of that Grav, have the backup of the Transcendence as well.
Yeah, this is the fight, and the Grav Triumph the need. And what an anti that hits most of Skyfoxes, and they've already lost a few, but Triumph ahead in the kills. The Transcendence was used, now getting the first tick. 5 minutes and 20. Skyfoxes have Buds 30% away from the EMP. This could be how they answer back, and Lastro has the nano, and he could be giving it to any member, maybe even FaZe, to get his Graviton uptime quicker. But it seems like Triumph, they had the momentum, but without their full 6, they started to crumble and they give up that space.
Everything turns when you allow a biotic grenade to hit your team. Everything turns. And that's exactly what happened in that last fight. And although we saw a lot of investment from Skyfoxes to stave off the first point B attack, now things are coming back together. Skyfoxes able to equalize, ready to regain control here. And that's the value of having a very, very well-played Ana at your disposal. And that's exactly what Lastro brings to the table.
Here's that layer of ultimates, though. You got Nano, EMP, Barrier, you name it from Skyfoxes. The first one starts. It's EMP plus a chunky boy of Remix with the Nano. And he's just hunting for blood. Awkward just can't say anything about that. A kick, a very small kick, won't knock down the absolute unit of Remix. And Triumph, 4 minutes and 10, have gone through quite a few rounds of ultimates. I hope that eventually they find the one that works.
Yeah, for Skyfoxes here, it's all about sustaining defensively, whereas Triumph on their attack, trying to figure this out. Really, they really need to just kind of play this slow, buy time, unfortunately. Maybe look for opportunities to shut out Bud so that he's not going to be able to get closer to his EMP and get towards that danger zone, right, of enabling Lastro again.
Well, enabling now this Grav, and what an anti that from Lastro. That just makes the pain even more painful for Skyfoxes, and so economical with their ultimates. You know, having an EMP, use it, that's all you need. Then the Grav, that's all you need. You know, minus that one round where they threw 6 ults. A fight win's a fight win though, right?
Yeah, right? I mean, again, imagine how hard it is to be Mystic in this situation, though. Hacked time and time again, not even able to utilize the one tool that you have at your disposal to answer the 17 different things.
Answer back against that hammer from Remix. Nails everyone from Triumph, forces them to now use support ultimates early, just the transcendence, so they don't lose their front line early. And now with that pick on the phase, catching Skyfoxes off guard. Now he even took out Buds, who has EMP. This is Triumph's chance now onto the point. Batman did get a shatter, got Lastro down, but couldn't follow up with that because they have to deal with Remix with the Nano in front of them as Remix 360 shatters. But the barrier from Triumph keeps Pipamitsu up for the moment. Buds is back to the party with an EMP, but wasn't enough for Skyfoxes to start a defense. Triumph with their second tick. Skyfoxes, can they answer back?
Well, Lastro's still alive, so maybe that's a shot, and he gets a sleep onto, I believe it was the Lucio there, Izzy, but unfortunately, I don't know if they have enough yet. They still need to keep Lastro alive as well.
How much time can you just burn off the clock? Unless Skyfoxes can pull off a miracle here. They have Remix spin to win. Faye is just not going to have any of that, though. Oh, and anti-hits a lot of Triumph. That could be some trouble. The grab is ready for FaZe, but only a few people are alive. Does he even have enough energy to melt through that? It doesn't seem like so. Triumphs just haven't dropped a lot yet. They still have a lot in their favor. Skyfoxes, Nano, Bear, they have some ultimates to work with, but they haven't necessarily translated that into kills onto the attacking team.
Well, here's maybe your shot. 2 more kills on the board, and Pipamitsu maybe has unlocked it for you and gets it done, but that was a long, drawn-out fight to finally get control, and time again, it's due to the fact that Lastro was not dealt with. He kept staying alive in situations where he really should not have, and created opportunities with that biotic grenade that we see over and over again.
And that just makes it so correct that you have to go after the supports every time, especially someone like Lastro. If you don't pay attention to him, if you just turn your shield the wrong way, he'll nail your whole team with this anti-nades. And this kind of caused some trouble for Triumph at the beginning. And I started to get worried when Lastro hit a really good anti and everyone is purpled there on Triumph. Were they even able to stay alive? And they were able to group up and just play a little bit more safer and survive that point B fight.
Yeah, and now we swap sides, so for Triumph, you basically have to take that point B fight and just say, okay, it took us a while, it took us a lot, but hey, we got it done, right? We got it done, and now we have to go ahead and try to defend here. And they are going to be pulling out what looks like Pipamitsu actually on the Widow. Start things off defensively. There's kind of 2 options that you could go for in this situation. You have the option for Widow, you have the option for the Ashe, and I think given the fact that we are seeing them go up against not a standard full GOATS comp, they're going instead against the Ana, Sombra that Skyfox has always run, it makes sense why Pipamitsu would instead go for the Widow, try to get those one-shots out, try to deny Buds as well, whereas collectively Ashe can do a lot with Dynamite versus a 6-stack of 3-3. So I definitely like the Widow pick here.
I do, and with Izzy, the power boost, either Faye or Pipamitsu looking for those initial picks. And Awkward staying on the Ana is also what's interesting to me. Maybe looking for that winning condition, because we talked about, he stayed on the Zen for quite a bit, and Lasher keeps hitting these anti-nades, so he needs to maybe create that winning condition here for the defense.
Yeah, and realistically, it's up to Matman to stay alive here. So by giving the nano boost, you also give the benefit to Matman to be able to sustain the onslaught. But this is a swap up here for Skyfoxes, going dive, bringing in the Tracer as well. And now they have more weapons to deal with Pipamitsu on this Widow.
Oh, Faye says no, caught Attitude going up the staircase. So Attitude will be the one to take the attention away from Pipamitsu, maybe even find some sneaky shots onto Faye. But you got to keep your eye on Attitude and how he can take the attention away from Triumph as they focus on this just main archway that Skyfoxes are trying to break through.
Yeah, it's taken them a full minute so far, but Buds in the back line, he does have an ability to set up with the rest of his dive team, and it looks like we're going to see Attitude trying to get his position, but he gets spotted out, so he's not even able to get into position with the rest of his team.
But he created an opening for Skyfoxes to dive after him, but if you don't go after that Mercy, that Resurrect will be available. There's always a at least a 1 arrow forgiveness for Triumph on this defense. 2 minutes and 30, and Skyfoxes are starting to figure out how they can break through Triumph's fortress.
Yeah, and the way that you do that is send Attitude up the right side, up the stairs, get him in along the backside, get Buds stealthed up behind everybody. You have to make sure Sombra and Tracer are in position before Remix jumps up with FaZe. You have to have the 4 stack to jump in at the same time. Attitude wasn't there last time. Got to make sure he's there this time. Oh, slept dart off the side of the map. Are you kidding me?
That's so big. Now, a Nano's placed on the Madman who dives towards the back after the supports. He's going to have the Primal too. Free kill onto Awkward and chasing around Pipimitsu, who just can't find him, receives the Nano, and that should be even more free kills for him. But meanwhile, Triumph have been counter-diving Skyfox's backline, and their supports are starting to feel the pain. Skyfoxes have 1 body on the point, and that could be possibly a free take if Triumph aren't careful.
Oh, Remix trying to knock everybody off the map. He only gets 1, but can he stay alive for more?
EMP self-destruct from Skyfoxes was just set up to create this opening. Now they've got the tick. Can they finish the job? And it seems Triumph just don't have any members or enough time to go and contest that one last time, so they'll be setting up for B.
And they're going to be swapping over to the Moira as well. Awkward making the adjustment. They're keeping Pipimitsu on DPS as he goes over to the McCree, and FaZe sticking to this as he has Barrage available. So just playing into this ultimate advantage that they have, as we see Lastro going over to the Zenyatta, and they're just going to try to just pump as much pressure as they can into whoever attacks them first and allow Attitude to set it up for them as well with the bash.
Yeah, Zen versus Zen swaps for both teams. Now Pipimitsu figuring out which hit scan do I want to play today, and it's going to be the Ashe final swap. Now Triumph have to actually get their defense set up now. Get your heroes chosen, because Skyfoxes are coming in like a train, and it's Attitude back on the Brigida. The usual swap he does at a point B. They rely on Buds to create these opportunities, but not going to happen there. Skyfoxes without that Sombra don't want to engage without him.
Yeah, and you would see a lot of teams make changes here, and that's going to be the case for Skyfoxes as well, as they go directly over to what is effectively that protect the McCree, super McCree style, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, this is solo DPS. Buds on the McCree. Remember the last time we got to cast this guy at McCree just a couple days ago? He was popping off, and I expect the same result here for Skyfoxes.
But can he find those shots onto Faye? Because he could be feeling a lot of pressure at a distance from Faye. If he doesn't get that right line of sight, he's going to be giving a lot of free rockets there to Faye. And Pipimitsu, meanwhile, wounds the backline of Skyfox, is already losing 1, who have to figure out how they can create this opening into point B.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a matter of time before Skyfoxes figure out how to create space for Buds. And once they do, he can try to find a way to shut down Faye. But look at the way that Faye has been operating this, you know, on the Pharah. It's all about making sure that you can play the map correctly and deny a lot of the line of sight from your opposition. Well, Bud says, I don't have too many opportunities, but if I get one, I will take you down. He's got the Widow. He's pulling it out, and he finds a first pick for them.
That should be a res, though, unless Skyfoxes, they act now. Remix wants to prevent it. He's not able to. Is he able to get Pipimitsu back in action? Skyfoxes with the barrier. Do they keep engaging this? They drop the barrier, but they have to be careful of their backline. And there's Faye with the barrage from above. Takes out Lastro, who had the Transcendence, and takes out even Buds with it. So Skyfox is missing a lot. Remix is low, and Triumph using their support ultimates to give them the later fight advantage. So Skyfoxes have to go back and rethink again.
Well, here's the swaps from Triumph too. So whatever changes that they want to make, they have to incorporate, you know, what adjustments Triumph is making now defensively. So it seems as though they're just kind of waiting. I mean, this is a mind game, right? Because they're just waiting to see if Skyfoxes adjust anything else, and they decide, okay, nothing else is coming our way. So Pipimitsu, you can stay on the Ashe for now.
And Buds has to be creating an opening. If you're going to go on the Widowmaker, you have to find a line of sight, which Triumph, they're playing out of his line of sight. They're not giving him a chance to find a pick, but Skyfoxes will engage without one, and they find already a support from Triumph's defense, who are now using the Primal, but they couldn't hold on to Mystic's mech. Gonna get back into it with that self-destruct, and now evening up the score of 5-5. Skyfoxes now, we want to win this so bad. They use the Transcendence from Lastro. Skyfoxes, they get now a foot onto the point. 1 tick is earned. Triumph trying to break through.
Oh, they have the Dynamite available too. That's a lot of damage that their backline has to worry about, and Pipimitsu claims the kill onto Lucio.
Second tick for Skyfoxes. Bob on the field should be able to buy them some time, but Triumph seem to have warded off Skyfoxes, and Bud's only finding that one pick in the last fight. I wonder if they're going to be trying to set up something different, because Skyfoxes didn't even wait for a pick for him. They just went in without him.
I love these
There's a
swaps
swap.
from Triumph. They're so smart about the way that they do this, and Ash comes right back on out from Pibamitsu. He's going to be putting out that backline pressure, and Bud's now on the Zarya. Remember, Skyfoxes have been untouchable on Volskaya so far.
We'll see if they can finish the map. Triumph could start the comeback here if they hold the defense. Last minute for Skyfoxes. Now, use their Zarya Bubbles remix, looking to engage towards the right, towards the tanks of Triumph, who have lost Pibamitsu and denied the resurrect from Izzy, and Triumph get warded back so far that they give up the last tick to Skyfoxes.
Just not enough pressure in order to engage the way that they would have liked, but they at least have a time bank advantage. Not much of one, I'll give you that, but still a time bank advantage that gives them the basically just another shot at getting an attack in should it be required. 40 seconds is just enough to do that. So now we'll see once again another attack from Skyfoxes, but we haven't really seen them in this position very often, if at all, have we, right? I mean, being behind on a map like this is not something that happens, and it's crazy that Triumph have been able to do this in the way that they have.
Sweat. Just sweat a little bit. Just a little glisten on the foreheads of Skyfoxes, and well, they did take them, 4 minutes, an incredibly long time to get point B, despite the rounds of ultimates and all the adjustments that we saw. They eventually got it done, but I felt like that was more of because of a mistake from Triumph, letting them too much room to breathe on the point. They only needed one tick. Triumph should have held their ground, but they'll be paying for it now. Only a 39-second difference of time banks, and this could be just a one-fight thing or a two-fight thing onto the point, and full holds could be a situation.
And it's going to be Buds versus Pibamitsu on this Widow. They're swapping up the way that they're going about this first attack, and they're really putting a lot of emphasis on giving Buds an opportunity to shut down his opposition. Could do that, but barely. Pibamitsu stays alive.
Skyfoxes, they're trying to break through here, and that's Matman hopping right out of that situation there with Mystic. Skyfoxes, they go around this again, relying on Buds if they can create an opening, especially onto Faye, who does such a good job of not ever being in line of sight of Buds.
Yeah, and you can see Pibamitsu very cautious about this duel. He just wants to play this as passively as he can, so Buds is just not doing much in the fight.
Yeah, just take your attention away from Buds, and oh, he finds Faye instead, and now you want to deny the resurrect as Remix follows up, tries to ward off the tanks here, stepping onto the point. This is last fight, 12 seconds left, about to secure that kill onto Matman. Would be another great opening for Skyfoxes, who just haven't really had any ultimates. They don't even need it, because they can have Remix lead the charge and annihilate the backline of Triumph. In overtime, Skyfoxes will secure point A.
Buds just had so much value on this pick, and he got the value from the infra side as well. They can make the swap with, not having to really lose anything at all. And going into this next fight, look at the ultimates that they have, the forced swaps coming from Triumph as well, just giving them even more value as they go forward. They're just going to go with the Mercy, actually, so no Lucio at all. Speed advantage certainly to the defense, but I don't know if that's even going to be enough. All they really can play off of is the nano boost here.
Yeah, they're going to have to really protect Mac if he's going to go for a resurrect. He's about to have Valkyrie. That'll be a big advantage at the early start. But it's Triumph that pulled the trigger first with a nano from Awkward on the map, man. But they lost Faye. Self-destruct at the back. It's not going to start anything for Triumph. As Skyfoxes, they start their Valkyrie. They have a self-destruct. They're clearing out the space, exactly what they need for point B. But Mapman's going to try and deny it here with the Primal Rage. But he needs the backup of his team. He doesn't want to go in alone. He hops in and out to prevent objective time from going in, but that's the first hit for Skyfoxes. Make it 2. Triumph, they try and bring the comeback. They try and desperately bring a Reaper Hammond, and whatever you can, break the glass for emergency Hammond, who's already out of the picture. Skyfoxes in overtime will be completing Volskaya and Triumph. Whatever time they burn here, it's fine. At least they made it overtime.
They looks like they're going to be able to solidify it here, but still, I don't know. Triumph, they're hanging in there, but it's not going to last too much longer.
A long time, yeah.
Yeah. But either way, I mean, Skyfoxes, you look at what this roster brings. We've already talked about Blastro. We've talked about Buds on the Sombra. but there haven't been many opportunities for us to talk about what Buds brings with his Widow. And it's not just the ability to, you know, shut other teams down, but it's also the ability to shut other Widows down. And you can see the positions that he takes. He's trying to make sure that Pimamitsu is forced to rotate away, forced to deny him sight lines and try to deny basically any opportunity for Pimamitsu to do anything. So defensively, Pimamitsu lost all value on his Widow because he couldn't peek. He straight up could not peek.
Yeah.
Who wants to take a duel against Buds? I will tell you right now, I will never take that duel. I will go back to spawn and I will swap to Goats immediately. Try to do anything to get away from that man.
Nah, go Goats, fam. Go Goats. But I do like that Buds had the Widow because it forced Triumph to play differently, right? It's either the Widow or Faye on the far who had to play really differently, out of line of sight, which because of that pick from Buds onto Faye on the far at the beginning, now Triumph had to decide, do we try and create an opportunity for Izzy to go for the Resurrect? And they had to play more defensively, while Skyfoxes, as soon as they got that pick, they jumped in, and that's what allowed them to get point A. And almost barely, with the 1 minute that they had, they got the whole Volskaya job done. Now Triumph with only a 39-second advantage. We'll see if they can even do that.
Okay, Mattman probably going to be swapping here and going back over to the Reinhardt, I would have to imagine. So Hammond rolls out, but rolls right on back to spawn. Fortunately, they gave up a lot of that massive time bank difference, that 39 seconds. Well, you know, already we see about 30 of that gone.
Mystic hacked early, it's okay. He's just a little scared. He's like, get away from me, everybody. Skyfoxes, now they chase Triumph, who are trying to go towards the left, and Mac is already down. Skyfoxes lose the speed boost, which Remix would love to get. He's got the Discord on him, and he's low, and Mattman wants to take advantage. He surges forward. Remix misses the pin, and now he's gonna pay for it. Mattman wins the Reinhardt duel as Triumph now can step onto the point freely with their tanks still alive, minus Mystic out of Meg, but he's still okay. Triumph get point A within the first fight.
They really would like a little bit more ult charge for Pimamitsu, try to get that advantage going for themselves. Luckily, though, in this interim, Mystic, they've bought time for him for now to get back into his mech, come out of spawn close. However, Buds, the ever-looming danger on this Sombra. The EMP is ready. They have the nano boost follow-up. The classic combination that Skyfoxes wins fight after fight with. They've got it available.
Oh, Buds drops with the EMP. Triumph, they're under fire. Mattman is barely staying alive, but he's already lost Mystic's Meg and Awkward. That's a fight loss for Triumph, and 30 seconds left. That's a critical point for that to happen.
Well, Mattman still claims two. He shoulder charges Lastro off and just takes Remix along for a ride, but effectively that's not going to get too much value in the long term. Now they have 15 seconds to get to point, and it's going to go grab for grab, but Skyfoxes, due to this time bank, they have a huge advantage. They could just hold them off at the point completely.
Yeah, not only does Skyfoxes have grab, but they got Nano and Remix, who now goes in now with that Nano available. But gets caught into a grab there from Pimamitsu. He can't be doing much for now. Skyfoxes, can they hold this defense against Triumph? It's trades going back and forth. FaZe's grab started an opening here for Skyfoxes as Triumph. They've lost too many members to keep this one going, and in overtime, they have 4 left. They start to pressure Skyfoxes back, and this is a good start. Almost a tick Mac on the Lucio from Skyfoxes, preventing that buying time. 1 tick, Skyfoxes coming back with EMP.
Oh, Buds, he could shut this all down. Pimamitsu has to find a way to get away from this so he can keep his onslaught going.
The onslaught of the EMP has started, but Triumph used a self-destruct to ward off the attack from Skyfoxes, who are only got Pimamitsu out of the picture, but now a Transcendence from Awkward should keep them up during this grab. Triumph, can they survive? This is their last chance, 98.1%. They're so close, they can taste it, and Skyfoxes have ultimate after ultimate, answers after answers of Triumph, where that overtime dwindles away, and Skyfoxes will take the 3-0 over Triumph.
Oh, that was so close, though, Triumph. They were so close to being able to take that. Such a good way to just show off how much composure you have in these dire moments. And really, really solid play from Skyfoxes just to get it done. EMP just always seems to be at the ready for Buds.
Always, always, always. I thought maybe if they run a Widow, they don't have to worry about getting hacked and EMP'd all the time. Maybe that they gotta deal with a Widow. But Triumph 98% is just, it's in a reachable grasp for them to go into extra rounds. And that 39-second advantage that they had, not humongous, but they also spent it on trying to figure out a composition. And when you're under pressure like that, they could have just bought themselves a little bit more time.
Yeah, maybe that those 20 seconds would have given them a better shot at getting a very solid engage. But, Izzy, maybe a second earlier with the sound barrier, he would have been able to keep Mystic alive. I mean, this is just these little, tiny moments that really affect a lot down the line. Triumph maybe would have been able to get that. However, maybes don't matter. And effectively, Skyfoxes now, they 3-0. They're able to clinch that second place spot, or at least hold on to it right now. And they're looking solid. Triumph, however, remember, this is a map 4. Map differential really matters. So just as with the last series, Triumph still wants to be able to win this next map because they want to stay ahead and they want to have the best shot with these last 2 maps still to come next week of being able to clinch that 5th spot that remains for Contenders.
There is so many teams, it's just so close, right? We talked about Paradigm, Triumph, Underwater Squad, and Phase 2 need to win these matches that are coming up. There's 3 games left for everybody. And Triumph, with this loss, okay, but this win in map 4 could really help their map differential, because sometimes just that you going to Contenders could be between a map win or a map loss on a map 4 like this. So Triumph, they can't give this up yet. And I think, we talked about how Triumph actually made Skyfoxes sweat on Volsky, and we'll see if they'll make them sweat now on Rialto.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those trial seasons where everything matters until that last game is played, right? I mean, we're going to be seeing this battle go on until day 7. Nothing's going to be decided until day 7, it seems, because everybody's just neck and neck. Everybody's vying for their shot. And we're definitely going to be, we now have 4 teams tied at 1 and 4 on that bottom 4, and only one of them get that slot. And the best way to make sure that you have the shot is to make sure that you have the best map differential, because it could very well come down to that. And Triumph right now, they are I guess if they lose this, they will still be 1 map ahead of Paradigm, but they still want to have a little bit more than that. You want to be closer to the likes of Phase 2 and Underwater Squad.
But just the bottom 4, it could be anyone's game, right? All those rosters are really close in terms of skill and how much they want to be in Contenders. While it feels the top 4, including Skyfoxes, are nice and comfortable. So a win here is great. Of course, it is great. Map differential, a stacked one, is great for honor and glory of coming out of trials either in 1st or 2nd, maybe whatever Skyfoxes, what their goal is at the end of trials. But Skyfox is sitting pretty to get into Contenders. Super excited to see what they can do. And now Triumph want to see themselves there with them.
Yeah, so when we start off on this map here, Rialto, I expect them to want to go into the strengths of what we saw in the last map. Bring out Pibamitsu on the Ashe, maybe see if that works out for you, Faye, on the Pharah. That looked good for them. The couple times we saw that pulled out when, Nimbani. There's a reason why Nimbani is a comfort pick, and there's a reason why they looked good on Volskaya, and those are, 2 of the reasons why. I would expect them to, probably pull something like that out on their defense, but obviously they have another phase to do, to go through before we get to that stage. And to get there, you have to set a good pace on your attack. You have to make sure that you get the most value and get as far as you possibly can, so that you can feel like it's at least winnable when you do pull out one of those compositions for a 1st point hold.
Speaking of a 1st point hold, you've got Buds on the Sombra. That's great. Attitude kind of teased me with the Widowmaker, and that's something very solid you could see on Rialto. But Attitude either floats around playing a DPS or playing the Brigida. And Skyfoxes, when we talk to them, the triple support is so important for them because they know they're going up against goats most of the time, and that sustain in the later parts is so critical to them. So Triumph out the doors with a Hammond or debated Reinhardt version of goats.
Yeah, so Triumph now going forward. You have to make sure that they don't get booped off here, as we see Mac kind of going for them initially, but they're going to force this to be backed up a little bit, play this first corner.
And Triumph just gets so much space from this. Look how far Skyfoxes are back, but an anti from last stroke kind of forced Triumph back a little bit, but they're healed up. Everything is fine, but Triumph need to keep this payload going. They don't want to get stuck at this choke point. The incredibly most difficult part of Rialto A is just this L or zigzag corner that Triumph are trying to break through.
especially given that Lastro is on the Ana because he has so many walls to play off of. That's an early shatter, not finding anything initially though.
Buzz hops on top of them with a hack, and Clone Man now can go forward with the nano and his hammer and just kill everybody from Triumph.
It's going to be hard to get away from that one, right? I mean, Skyfoxes will be able to solidify a couple of late kills and claim some time along with it. FaZe able to make sure that he has that Graviton ready for this next fight. And given how congested, this area is, this kind of hallway that Triumph has to pass through, certainly FaZe has an advantage here, playing from high ground to drop this way before Pibamitsu has that opportunity.
Could Pibamitsu open up that opportunity with the grab that you're talking about, and he's going to be having it quite soon. And Skyfoxes don't have any support ultimates except a rally. The grab, Triumph actually gets melted by FaZe's grab first, so Skyfoxes take the upper hand at the early fight, and Triumph thought they had won that with the grab and Transcendence. They had everything they thought they needed, and now they have to go again.
And how do you feel confident about going again when you just lost your grab? That was what you really wanted to have, and Transcendence is down as well, where you still have to deal with all these weapons. Lastro on high ground, close to having another nano boost, and you still have to deal with his biotic grenades that he has all the time.
No, he doesn't stay on the high ground for too long. Was very comfortable behind Clone Man shield, especially when he's going to have Shatter. That's what they're trying to set up. Shatter, Anti, Triumph go forward. They're getting really aggressive. A hack, though, could have got onto Madman, actually, so he had no shield to protect against the Shatter from Clone Man. But now Clone Man's shield is broken. That's Triumph's opportunity to answer back. But without a Lucio, without Madman, he just got no fight. Triumph, minute 20, have to try this again.
Next fight will bring the potential. I mean, they could go either or, right? They could go for the EMP, they could go for the Graviton, and Awkward can try to answer with the Transcendence, but what we've seen time and time again is that the Transcendence, it just simply doesn't matter. I mean, you could heal all you want, but when your teammates can't take in any healing because of a Biotic and an Anti, what good is that going to do? It's such a struggle on this section of the map. If they can get through it, great, but you have to do that first. It's so hard.
At least Pibamitsu has another grab coming up soon. Mystic got hacked in the back, and Buzz is ready for the EMP. The grab is done first from FaZe. Buzz is there with option B, already with a 6 versus 4 for the defense. 35 seconds left. Skyfox is going for more staggers, which is just going to hurt Triumph more.
EMP Shatter combo. Skyfoxes will be going for that in this next fight. This is the last one, so they can just go for this combination. Lastro going to throw out the Biotic Grenade as well. How do you answer that? I mean, Sound Barrier, Counter Shatter, that's all you have at your disposal. Maybe Pibamitsu can get in there after the hack is over.
Oh, EMP Shatter, exactly what you said. Skyfoxes line it up and knock them down. Triumph to use a grab. There's nothing else they can do. And just with seconds remain, someone has to touch the payload. At least Izzy is there. Who's gonna be one small Lucio against an army and Clone Man on the Reinhardt. So Triumph, they try and get back as quick as they can, but that payload will just not get to A.
Hey, Clone Man can be part of the army too, all right? He's part of the army.
The army of Clone.
All right, well, that's fair. But anyways, I mean, so this first point defense worked incredibly well for Meta Skyfoxes, but the play I think here on Rialto, it seems like was going to be that they have a shot defensively. Triumph really want to play this to their advantage. Unfortunately, I think they wanted a lot more value out of their attack. That is a hashtag unlucky if ever there was one. But I think here, maybe you even took away their condition of trying to play this with hit scan, with DPS. Maybe now they're actually forced to play GOATs to be more consistent, given that there's not much of a distance that needs to be covered at all.
And at what point does Triumph just go, let's just go Bastion, something crazy. Symmetra, Bastion, Orisa, you got all this time that you got to hold about 3 meters. So, but sometimes, you go crazy and sometimes you stay smart. And that's maybe why I'm casting and I'm not coaching.
You can just zigzag high grounds and just take an L real quick. Yeah, why not? But, yeah, I mean, it seems as though they are going to play into this DPS defense. It doesn't seem like Triumph feels like that distance might be a little short to run something like this, but either way, they're going to be pulling that out, and Awkward back onto the Ana. This is the way they like to play it, Mercy Ana in tandem. But still, Pibamitsu, he's got the Widowmaker. He was shut down before by Buds when Buds made a swap, but at the moment, he's back on that Sombra still, so we'll have to see what value they can get out of this.
And there's also some forgiveness for Triumph to have Izzy on the
no.
Mercy, and Buds is like, oh yeah? Oh yeah, you want to go, pal? You want to go? I will play ball. And Pibamitsu was like, nah, I'm going to go into this corner and just not mess with you at all.
I mean, I would feel the same way, so no shame at all there. Buds versus Pibamitsu, this is such a tough matchup, and it's really going to come down to sightlines, right? Buds trying to take a really advantageous sightline to make sure that Pibamitsu cannot take good peeks against the Pharah.
Okay, well, Triumph now have to start contesting this payload. It's getting so close to that yellow box of victory, and Triumph have a real chance to hold here if they can play the distance battle. But Skyfox is matching them on that Widow Pharah. Who's the bigger man in this fight? Who's gonna take those first picks to open up this fight? It's now Skyfoxes who lead up to 2, taking out Faye and Matman, and Izzy just has to focus on healing. Not safe enough to go for a resurrect. Triumph still have at least a diva on the card to buy them some time. Mystic gets the nano. Tries to stay alive, tries to be the best Gundam that he can on this payload, but Skyfoxes have all the tools in their pocket, and you can see Matman at the ready as the Hammond to buy even more time for the rest of his team to come back.
Yeah, and Buds, with the opportunity to run the Widow, just gets so much value out of it. I mean, this is why they bring him onto this roster when there's so many options available, so many good players in this ecosystem, right, in this community. Buds is the guy you go for situations like this. When you want to run a Sombra and you want to run a Widow, there is pretty much no better option for you. He is so good.
That is the 4-0 take for Skyfoxes, who they make these look easy. They're so dominant, and this is the redemption arc we talked about. They've completely flipped themselves from last season. New roster, really stacked coaching squad, and Triumph, they made it to trials, and I think they're starting to warm up. They did make a team as awesome as Skyfoxes sweat on Volskaya, and maybe we had talked about before the series where Triumph felt the strongest on Escort, and that was tough because they're always forced to be on offense first, and the winning condition is set when you can't push the payload that far.
Yeah, I mean, getting out of those first chokes is so difficult, and if you can't get through that, you're not going to get anywhere, obviously. So, trying to answer the Ana is basically an uphill battle of making sure that your diva can play on all fronts, and that's such a difficult job, and Mystic just unable to answer it for this case. I mean, again, you have to deal with the Reinhardt, you have to deal with, peeling Buds, you have to deal with peeling off the biotics, the sleep darts. I mean, there's so many different things that you have to worry about, the gravitons even as well. So many jobs, and it's unfortunate for them that they couldn't answer the one that probably matters more than the rest, which is dealing with the Ana. It's so difficult, but Lastro, another opportunity for him to show off how much he's capable of.
Well, that is week 2 rounded up. The